It's a rattly one, is that today? Hey up, hey up, hey up, hey up. It is Wednesday the 30th of April 2025. Eyup FretHeads, welcome to Wednesday's lessons from the book guitar class. Woo! Another one, and everybody's rolling in. I can see you all rolling in there today, guys. I've had me ears lowered, just had a little trim at the back there. Just thin it out a bit. I've had my ears lowered today, just for tonight's live shenanigans. Live shenanigans indeed. Today's lesson we're going to do today from the book. The topic that we're going to do today, guys, is suspended chords. Yes, not sustained chords. Not sustained chords. Yeah, that's something completely different. Yeah, this, for those of you who have the book is page 32, lesson 26. Yes, it is page 32, lesson 26 in the book. Yes. Now, you might say, oh, hang on, Ricky, I haven't got the book. Well, look, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to make it really plain and obvious. That's how you get to the book. It's available on Amazon as a paperback, Lulu as a spiral bound, and you can even get it on the website, and it's all hooked up into the learning section of the fretboard fraternity. Say that with your teeth in, Ricky. Push them back in. Oh, hang on, I haven't started my counter. There we go. Let's put this on, because this is the one. This is the fun thing. See if I can get through this without hitting zero. So there you go. That's where the book is there. But it integrates seamlessly in the back end there. All the videos are available. Oh wow! Hang on! Stop the press. It's early today, guys. It's early. We have the weekly cup of tea. Yeah, we've got some Yorkshire tea, so that means I've got to do the Yorkshire salute for you. Yorkshire tea salute. Hey up. Oh, it's lovely or not, is that? Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miss Ricky. See you later. Enjoy yourself at Girl Guides. Always doing something, you know. This is it. We're running around doing this, doing that. So there you go, guys. There's the book. But if you want to join the Fretboard Fraternity, it's free. The Fretboard Fraternity is free. But all my learning materials, they're all integrated in there. So they're right easy to find in the Fretboard Fraternity just there. So that's the Fretboard Fraternity. Where am I? Let's have a look at my notes here. If you, and any of these links, they're all in the bottom of this video as well, in the description of video. So if you wanted to get into those, then you can do. And if you want access to all my lesson PDFs, my past and my future lessons here on YouTube, then you might want to just join PDF Club down there, you know. And if you're just starting out, I've got a beginner's guitar course for you as well. The Kickstart, oh, that was a good brew, that. Kickstart guitar course. I'm going to have another sup of that. Oh, that's good. Good. Yorkshire tea. Can't beat it. So, yes, so like I said, I've had my ears lowered. That means I've had my hair cut. Yeah, that's what we say. When somebody says, oh, have you had your hair cut? They say, in Yorkshire, they say, now then, lad, has that the ears lowered? Have you had your ears lowered? See, so I don't know if my ears look any lower. I don't think they do. Hopefully they don't. Yeah, so there you go. Also, I'm gonna make me excuses beforehand. I'm gonna switch camera because it's awful. Yeah, spring is over, kind of. No, it isn't. I mean, well, the rubbish in the garden needed tidying up. Yeah, so I've been tidying up the garden, and I love getting out in the garden. I don't know about you guys. Gardening is something that I really enjoy doing. But I've got a really nasty split just there in my finger, so I'm making me excuses for today's thing. If I'm demonstrating chords, yeah, I'm just showing you it's real. it's not cut all the way through. It's like a paper cut, but there, and it's just like stinging away. It's been stinging at it for like 3 days. So for 2 days. So yes, we're going to do suspended chords, and we're probably going to look at add 9 chords and add 11 chords, and and a bit of the theory behind them as well. But the main thing is to give you a bunch of useful grips that you can use for cowboy chords. You know, that's the thing. Take your caged shapes and make those into suspended chords. Really common grips that you're going to use, and and adds when they come along. It's kind of one of those things you start to think, what's suspended and what's an add chord. So we're going to get into a bit of that theory stuff there, right? But what I'm also going to do now, I'm just going to scroll here. I'm going to scroll and I'm going to scroll and see who's in the chat. And do you know what? It's time for roll call, guys. So make yourself known in the chat there. And look, let's see, where are we at? All right, okay. We've got a bit of a quiet week by the looks of it. His sun's out, so guns are out. So let's have a look. Let's get that like walloped, guys. Come on, let's do this. So let's have a look who's at the top. I think that's Winston Moy there at the top. So, hey up, Winston. Let's have a look. I'll say hello to everybody. Dem Ravens is in the chat. Christopher Campagna is in the chat in Holland. Robin Tate, Relaxing Meditation, is in the chat. Looking forward to tonight's lesson. Keep up with it. Thank you very much. Roger Smith. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Ricky. Mrs. Ricky's going to have to pop out, I think, but she's in there in the chat somewhere, I think. Maybe, I don't know. She might not be. Not yet. Am I flying solo? I don't know. I have no, but I can handle it. I assure you, I can handle it. So, God, can I? I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see how if it deteriorates. We'll keep us fingers crossed. Ken Guthrow from Newmarket in Ontario. The Analog Kid. Harry Croker is in the chat from Wolves, facing you guys on Friday at the Etihad. Yeah, looking forward to that. Got my tickets in the Colin Bell stand. We shall be there chanting for the Blues. So there we go. Sorry about that, Harry. Scott Simmons, hello world, and best Ricky, don't lose that number. Yes, I'll never lose that number. It's indelibly etched in my head. David Dote is in the chat. In Timperley, globally warmed. Hello, globally warmed Timperley. It's been cracking the flags for the last 2. It's been marvellous, hasn't it? I'd rather it cracking flags rather than it being grey. I hate winter. I hate it being grey and cold. Ugh. But this is. I'm starting to feel like I'm coming alive now. That's why I tried diving into the garden, and doing bits. But it's like, and then damaging my fingers. I damaged this one and I damaged this one as well. So yeah, not doing too well. It's like. Got to look after the old hands. So who else is in the chat? Phil James is in the chat. May I wish a pleasant evening to Ricky and Mrs. Ricky and the rest of the fraternity present. There you go, lovely. I love this. Good order, isn't it? It's good order here in the community. We're a lovely bunch, aren't we? We should just well, everybody, give yourself a round of applause wherever you are. I think that's what we need to do. Ryan Whitey, hand pink waving. That's all I've got there. That must be what the icon is. Randy Smith is present and accounted for, sir. Wayne Johnson is in Cowtown. See, got me. Papa Doc, greetings from the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. Second weekend starting tomorrow. That sounds fun. That sounds a lot of fun. That sounds like something that I'd like to do. I do wonder about coming over to New Orleans. I had my fortune told once, and the woman said that New Orleans was a good place for me. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's true or whatever, but I would like to go over there and do some blues stuff, see some blues. But not the touristy stuff, the real stuff, if that's possible. I don't know if it exists, but there you go. John Steer in Austin. That's another place I'd like to go. Austin in Texas. I understand that's pretty good for music. Vicky DeMayo is in Lexington. Let's have a look. Carter Hutchinson is in the chat. Sunny and warm Indiana afternoon. Ooh, that sounds nice. Nancy Parsons. Hi, Nancy. I haven't seen you for a while. John's here. Hey up, old lad. Oh, here we go. We've got to do it.
Now then, lad,
John. So we've got Stevie Pinhead. Overcast Seattle. Overcast. That's not good. It's not good at all, is that? It's not good enough. You have to shake your... Shake your fist at the clouds and the sun. Yeah, that's what we do as we get older, I think. Kevin Johnson from Pikeville, Kentucky. Bob P is in the chat. Annick's in the chat. Ricky Ziggy. There we go. Who else is in? Telefunken's in the chat. Graham Penfold. Hi, Ricky. Iced Yorkshire tea tonight, is it? No, it's not iced. It is proper. It's hot. It's hot. There we go. Ooh, that's nice. Cyril Johnson from Antrim. Thunder Ace, my OG, in the chat up there. Marcel, oh, wonderful to see you in the chat. We were wondering where you've been the last couple of weeks. Me and Mrs. Ricky were saying, we haven't heard from Marcel for a while. Where is he? Hope he's okay. I hope you're all right, mate. Angus McDonald. Hey up, Ricky. Mrs. Ricky and all the other wisdom seekers may have to dash us. Your van's got the blues and it needs to be fixed. Oh, no, you can't. You've got to get that van running. Let's have a look. Here is everybody. I'm just scrolling down here. DMAC 1971. Hello from New Brunswick in Canada. A major pentatonic from Welwyn Garden City. Lee Giles is in Canada, ready for some guitar learning. Rennie Hartman, up. Rob K is in Amsterdam. Billy Joe, yep. I like that. Jeff Honor, up all again. Tim C, thanks for the lessons. Thank you for turning up for the lessons. I'm glad you enjoyed them. Let's keep scrolling. Who else have we got? Ono van Leersum, Maria. Ricky, looking forward to tonight's lesson. Well, I am too as well. I always look forward to Wednesdays. Mike Allen, you look even more marvellous this week. I'll take that. I will. Any compliments, I will gratefully receive them. Yes. Thank you very much for that, Mike. James, hey up y'all, and that was a rock star entrance. Hope it was. I was trying to hold on for dear life with that index finger. Phantom is in the chat as well. David says, buy the chuffing book. Yeah, buy the chuffing book. Let's have a look. Bonsoir, mes amis. Oh, some French going on there. We're doing that. It's like, well, let's get some French conversation going on in here. Who else have we got in the chat here? Scott Simmons says, looking pretty. Not handsome, pretty. I'll take that. So I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. Well, go for that. Yeah. Maria's got page 32 at the ready. Ron Carrillo's in the chat. Ralph 0808 is in the chat. Suspicious chords. Yes. Suspicious ones. Suspicious that people get a bit confused with them. Let's have a look. Alan Mackey, up from East Tennessee. Who else is in the chat? Parker Fly Rook. We've got Matt Cochran. We also have Sandy B. How long do you steep the tea bags? Long enough. It's all on the colour. Yeah, it's all about the colour. Yeah, you put the tea bags in. Yeah, it's tea bag, water. Never put milk in first. Let me just say that's sacrilege. You don't put milk in first. Yeah, you look at the colour of the tea, and then you add the milk, and then you leave the tea bag in. You want a good strong brew. You need it to go a really dark tan, I'd say, colour. I think that's what you really want. We've got 3 minutes 11 there. Let's see how we're gonna get on here. Dark Gent is in the chat. Michael Gregg is in the chat. Wayne's World got here. Sour Apple Ghost energy drink. Just packed a bowl. Got my notebook. Time to learn. That's it. You're ready to rock. Jerry Linde is in Sweden, and we have John Esham. Tea's early for you, but I'm a little late enjoying the sunny English garden in the evening. Nothing more quintessentially English. Well, it depends if you're English. That's a cup with speech water. Yes, it is. Cody Lamar's in the chat. Hello, my brothers and sisters. Hi, Ricky. Love you, man. I love you too, man. Love you. Much love back to you there, Cody. Appreciate that. There's not enough love in the world. There's a song in that, isn't there? We should do a song or something like that, maybe. I know. Oh, actually, while we're here, guys, and I'm just going to mention this. I've got to have a look and see what time I'm going to do it. But I'm going to go live on Saturday as well. I think I'm going to do a live on Saturday. I'm just going to see how it works, you know. So I'm going to do a live on Saturday. Yeah. So look out for a notification if you've not subscribed. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that business, and hopefully YouTube will send you an email. They don't always do that, do they? You know, so. But I'm just saying, yeah, if you want to, I'll be knocking around on Saturday. I just thought, just like a more less formal sort of do. So chimp number 1 is in the chat for being late. I was doing diminished arpeggios in the garden. Yes, we've all done that. We've all done that, and hopefully the neighbours approved. Greg Gutierrez from the Lake of the Ozarks. Randy Holder. Hey up, Randy. Good to see you in the chat again, mate. Let's have a look. Shauna is in the chat as well. Jason Somerville. Dale Sam. We have... Who else have we got? We've got Dick Plump. In my birthday suspended. I'm glad you said suspended there, not suspenders. In your birthday suspenders. We've all had erroneous gifts in our time, but, yeah. I've never revealed anything like that before. Not that I would now, but we're going to keep this clean. Mike G, hello. True S Armour. The S is for Sean. Oh, it's a Ricky Unplugged session. Yes, it is, because the old input jack on the orange Pacifica's playing up a little bit. 26 seconds. Let's have a look, see if I can do this. Rich from sunny Salisbury. Carter Hutchinson, who else? Mike, Frank Gladden, hello. Three Dogs Brewery, hey up. We've got, who else have we got? Michael Capozzi, I think that's how you say it. Duke of Earl, who else? Jeremiah Miraz in the chat there, hey up. Simon Wade, hey up. Let's have a look. Mark Carter in Alabama, hey up. Lawrence O from London. Your son's visiting, so we'll catch up with this lesson later. That's what it's all about. So my conscience is clear because I have whacked the like button. Yes, whack that like button. Joe from Costco made the cut at Ricky's Guitar. There you go. You're here. That's the main thing. Dan Lafferty. Mary's got a book last week. Yes, thank you. If this is your first one, then I'm gonna just give you a round of applause for this. If it's your first Wednesday guitar class, then that's what it's all about. William Henning, Bill from Florida, Tom Zypher. That sounds spicy. We'll keep scrolling down. We're nearly there. Guys. Robbie says he's finally tried Yorkshire tea. Good stuff. A bit stronger than your normal tea. Barry's, but I love a good strong cup. Bought a box home to Dublin. There you go. It's good stuff. John C. in Ireland. Got your physical book this week? Yes, John. Thank you very much. Big round of applause. Thank you for supporting the work here. And who else are we? We've got Joe Burnham in Athens. And we also have Schrodinger's guitarist. Oh, do we? That's the thing. We might do. We don't. Or we could. I don't know. We might do. 1 Pro 1 2 3 4. Greetings, sir. And I think we are near enough there. Hopey Bob has said hello. And we have Half Grover at home. Evening Ricky from Post Black Monday, Spain. And Michael Burke's in the chat. Oh, hang on. Vivo, man. Yo, a bit late by only a few weeks. Yes, that's it. That's the one. So live night is better, even better, because there is no sign of Facebook. There is no fuzz Facebook. There's no Facebook at all. We don't, I'm not a fan of Facebook, I'm not. I'm really not. It's social media, but it isn't social, is it, really? It's all tailored to your own personal algorithm. Well, everything is these days, really, isn't it? Right, so what we're going to do tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to look at suspended chords, and we're going to look at suspended theory as well. We're going to look at the theory behind it just so that you understand it. Now, the thing about this is, that I like about this, is it's kind of, it helps you to know where the third is in your chord, yeah, in your triads, right? If we think about it, we've got a root, we've got a third and a fifth in a triad, yeah? Whether that third is major or it's minor, it doesn't matter, yeah? We need to know where the third is. And when we know where the third is, then what we can do is we can suspend the third, yes? And that's what a suspension is we're modifying the third of a triad of a chord, and we are substituting it for something else. We're suspending it in favour of a second or in favour of a fourth. Okay, so this is the thing, and these are the notes at either side. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go over to the old pen and paper. Papier. We are here. So there we go. We've got this one here. This is what we got going on. So first things first, what we're going to do is I'm going to just plot out our good old friend C major. Why C major? Because it's got no sharps or flats in it. Nice and easy to comprehend. So we're going to go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we get C there, okay? That B's a bit wonky, but there we go. Let's do it like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to assign a scale degree with this as well, yeah? Because what we do, we draw chords out of scales, yes? The scales are the ingredients that we use to make chords via tertian movement. But what we're going to do is we're going to start on that one. So R for root. Oh, number one. You could even think of it as number one, yeah? That's the second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note, sixth note, and seventh note. And then what we've got here, you can see that's a C, so we're going to have the octave just here, okay? So we're going to have the octave just here. So under normal circumstances, what we do to make a triad, and I'm starting here on the C here, there's a formula, and this is what we need to do. The formula is the recipe. A major chord, or a major triad, yeah, a major triad is a root and a third and a fifth. So what we're doing is we're gathering those guys there, and those three there give us the triad. And it's really, really simple to understand suspended chords. Now, I always think of suspensions as being, you know, like those old 70s cop shows where, you know, the cop gets framed for doing something that he didn't do, and the chief goes, "Kowalski, you're suspended. Give me your badge and your gun." You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And he's got like 48 hours to go and prove that he's innocent, and that's the plot of the film. So he goes away, and then he comes back and he finds all the proof, and then everybody knows he's innocent. Yeah. So that's the thing, and that's the thing about suspension is, you're taking the third out of the triad temporarily. Yeah, temporarily. Because the thing is, you'll notice with suspensions, they have this kind of unsettled sound. Yeah, they are not a resolving sound. They are very much a kind of hanging. They are keeping you in suspense. Yeah, so they are a suspended sound. And that's the kind of the way to think of them and how to place them. If somebody said to you, say, all right, okay, so let's have a look. Let's pick on somebody. Let's go. Let's just look. So Randy, I'm in a conversation there with Randy Holder. Yeah, Randy there, and it says, Randy, explain the sound of a suspended chord. You kind of go, oh, what's the personality of it? And you need that just to tap into it, just so that you've got it. You go, well, it doesn't resolve. There's a kind of, it leaves you hanging, does the sound, and that's exactly what it is. Yes, so that's what I'm saying is the personality of the chord. Was it awful, Shauna? Was it awful? You know, it was a New York cop sort of thing. You know, I grew up on that sort of stuff, mostly black and white matinees in the afternoon. Lots of Columbo as a young man as well. So there you go. But I'm just saying, yeah. So the suspension, the chord is suspended. Really, functionally, what it wants to do is it needs to resolve back to its triad that it comes from. Okay, so and that triad could be one of your chords from the key. Now, I would say not chord 7 because that's a diminished triad. You don't have. If you start messing around with suspensions on chord 7, then you end up with strange sort of things going afoot, and we're not going to get into that. It's not needed. It's just not needed. So they thought there was an F-bomb No F-bombs ever. Yeah, so no F-bombs. So that's what I'm saying is we take that sound and we're going to suspend it and then we resolve it. Now the thing is, sometimes it's possible to use the suspended sound and it just be okay. It's just okay. It doesn't need to resolve. So the thing is, you've got to be quite malleable with it, but it can be a really useful way to even cheat and blag with songs. I think this is a great way of cheating, you know. Kojak, who said Kojak there? Who loves you, baby? You're beautiful. Yeah, Kojak was the dude. I loved that with his lollipop. So hopefully that makes sense. So there's a couple of ways of thinking about how to use these sus chords. And there are two varieties. Like I said, there's a sus 2 and there's a sus 4. Now, here's where people get mixed up, and that is suspensions and add chords, yes? Because add chords do something else. I'll get into that in a little bit, but first, let me just switch back over to this. Right, so switch back over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a little look at this. So it's really, really simple. So like I say, what we do is, and I think of it as almost like this pendulum that we can have. So we can swing to either side here. Yeah. And if we take this second here, it's really, really quite simple. We instead of playing the third, we're going to suspend the third in favour of the second. And that would give us a root, a second, and a fifth. Because there's the formula. Remember, a root, third, and fifth is the triad formula that we have there. But if we go for that, then that's going to give me a sus 2. Now, if you're in PDF Club, don't worry. I'll be uploading these for you as well. So that's the difference there. You can see it's got a root, a second, and a fifth. Now, what I can do as well is I can swing over to the other side of that pendulum and go and get myself the fourth instead. So root, fourth, and fifth. And that gives us a particular quality. And that's the easiest way to look at that there. Yeah, that's the easiest way, I think, to look at it from that triad perspective. And actually, you know, you can think of these, if you think about it, these are triads as well, guys. These are triads. It's a triad, but it's a suspended triad. Yeah, just like major, minor, diminished, augmented. Suspensions are also triads as well, and that's the way I kind of think of it. I think of it in the triad families. I did a lesson on triad families where I talked about those and the gaps in between. But the thing, this is like another grouping of those there. So that's the way to look at those there. Now the thing is, if this was C major, yeah, then this is going to work on the first chord in C major. And we can think of this, and I'm going to dig into this a little bit more, and this is the way I see it, is if we look at this, and each of these notes is a root note for a chord, then what we can do is we can actually see how we might be able to get these suspensions for every chord in the key. Because the thing is, when you think of a suspension, generally, you know, the original video that I did for this, I just showed you as being part of chord 1. Because really, this is chord 1. If this is C major here, yeah, this is going to be chord 1. So C, E, G would be chord 1. I'll put that there. C, E, G would be chord 1 of that key. But then, you know, if I start on this, then I'm going to get another bunch of notes to make a triad, a D, an F, and A. Now, you know me, guys. What's the easiest way to know which notes are in your triad? It's the circle of thirds. So let me put that in there. Yeah, because what the circle of thirds is it shows us this tertian movement. So if we go like this, if I go C, E, G, B, D, F, A. So every good band deserves fans and cash. Remember, if you know this, if you've seen this before, this is the way I work this out. You might know this from putting your notes on the musical staff, but this is C major, yeah? And I'll put the key signature in the middle there as well. C major, no sharps, no flats, nice and easy. If you wanted to work this out for another key, then you would take the sharps and the flats from that key and add them to that mnemonic. That's as simple as it gets, okay? But what we can do is, if you wanted to, you could just fill in the middle bits here. So you could see C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So what I've done is I've just written those smaller outside of there so that you can see where the suspensions live. Like, so if we looked at that C again here, but we're looking at it on the cycle of thirds, if we go C, E, G there, and I just block that off there. Can I block that off? Let me just get a piece of paper. I'll block that off. So we've got that there. So you can see if that's the third, then we can see that the D note is going to be the second. If you can see that there, that's the E, then the F is going to be the fourth. And what we can do is we can go around all this now. So I could look at this D minor, which I said was the next chord. So I can see that I've got a D, an F, and an A for my root, my flat third, and my fifth there. But now I can see that if I want to play a D sus2, then what I do is I suspend that third there, and I go back. Yes, I go back in pitch to get to the second, and I go up in pitch to get to the fourth. So you can do this with all the chords in your key. Now, there are some exceptions, yes. So so there are some exceptions with this. So it might be a case of where you have to listen to this and watch this again. Okay. Now, certain chords this doesn't work with, and I kind of think of them as becoming more sort of modal ideas. Yes. So we do end up involving modes. This is why I think suspensions are very much tied to knowing your modal formulas. This is what you need to know, guys. You need to understand your mode and know and be able to recite your mode formulas. Yes. So someone says, "What's Lydian?" You go root, second, third, sharp 4, fifth, 6, 7. You just know it off by heart. Just like making a cup of tea. Hang on, I'll have a little sup. Yeah, interesting. Why can a sus4 just be called a sus chord, and a sus2 has to be called a sus2? Right. In the theory books, the sus4 is more common. Historically, it's just a more common sound. Yeah, so it's basically the main suspension that you would use, and whereas a sus2 in the theory books, it's called a retardation. Yeah, it's a horrible word, but there we go. So that's what it says in the book. So really, it's not as important. Yeah, it's kind of because it's a reduction of interval in between the root and the interval, the second interval. Okay, so really, I kind of think to myself, it's almost like, well, why do you say C instead of C major? Yeah, it's a kind of a similar situation. It's about importance, and kind of almost like a hierarchy in how we name things as well. So there's so really that's the way we're looking at it. So somebody says, got out to America. So let's have a look. So Dad, the question may be irrelevant, but why isn't a sus4 called augmented? Because you've not taken the perfect fourth. Yeah, because what you're doing is you are going from the third up to the fourth. Yes, it's not the fourth that has been altered. When you alter a fourth, then if you raised a perfect fourth up a half step, then that would be an augmented fourth. Yeah. So really, just kind of, it's about staying true to each of the scale degrees and the intervals. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. It's good. I think that's a good question as well, because it's one of those things that people might get a little bit confused about, and I understand why, because it is very much about this idea, and this is why, I think as we go through this here, with this circle of thirds, you'll start to see it unravel. So if you wanted to think about it in any key, yeah, so if we say C major, and I'll just transfer this over here, each of these notes here can become a chord if we turn it into a triad. So C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and B diminished. So these can become triads in their own self, and these are triads. But what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to get rid of that B diminished there, because what we end up essentially with is enharmonic equivalent chords that are better explained in a different sort of lesson, to be honest, right? But there are a couple of chords that we have to know about with this. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so and I'll just put that there because that is 7. What we can do as well is we can associate, like I said, the modes are important, and what we want to do is we might want to associate, let me look at this, I'm writing sideways here. We might want to associate the mode with this, and then what we can do is we can apply any alterations that we get to the mode, and we can apply them to any of the extensions that we have on the chord. Because you remember, if you've seen the Rosetta Stone video, then you'll know that this is basically synonyms. So we've got this one, Phrygian, and then we've got Lydian, and then we've got Mixolydian. And the characteristics of these modes carry over into the body of the chords that they can become. Yeah, because you'll realise that essentially the mode is the home of what I call the full 7-note chord. Okay, Aeolian, if that makes sense. And then we've got Locrian. Right, so we've got those there. So we have those modes there. Steve Pinhead says, if Monday's the first day of the week, then it must also be the 8th day of the week. I mean, you could say that. Major, minor defined by the 3rd, augmented and diminished by the 5th. Exactly, Dem Ravens. That's the best way. Yes, in dark places, love making always lurks. Pretty, yeah, pretty interesting there. So, but the thing is with this, let me just state this from the get-go, and you'll see this as we go along, that this is problematic. This chord 3 becomes problematic when it comes to suspensions, and the Lydian here becomes problematic when it comes to the suspension. So we'll take a look at these separately as well. You'll just want to get through the sort of theory aspects of this. So what we can do is, like I said, this is just a simple octave that we've got here, going from C to C there, guys. That's just the simple octave. Now, obviously, what can also happen, and this is going to tie in. This is going to tie in with the add chords. So let me add the information that you need for add chords as well, because they are interwoven. They are interwoven. So that's what we're gonna have here. Dem Ravens has just put something there, sharp 4, and you'll start to see, well, sharp 4. Hang on, you know. So what we're gonna do is, let me just switch over to a piece of paper here, and I'm just gonna do that C major scale again. Here's the simple octave. Yeah, C, E, G. Right, so we've got the root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, octave again, right? And we can see how that works. This is simple. But what we can do is we can take this up another octave again, and we go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And this is called the compound interval. That's compound octave. So we've got the compound octave. Now what we can do is, with that tertian movement going up like this in thirds, you can see what I've done is I've collected my 7th here, and that 7th is what I think of as a bridging note into the compound octave, where rules change here. Yeah, so the rules change when we hit that 7th, but everything in there is Very, very simple. Suspensions are all about taking the note that we have as the third there and substituting it for either the second or the fourth. But the thing is, what if the third is present and we still have these notes? Then a new thing happens. Yeah, so let me take this tertian movement over. You can see that what happens is if I jump over 3, B, C, D, then I get this D here. Jump over again, I pick up the F. Jump over again, I pick up the A. Jump over again, I pick up the C. Okay, now I need to label these with numbers as well. So root, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8. I'm just going to go up in numbers, guys. 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And we're back at the root note here. We're just going to call that the root note there. Now, I think everything in the simple octave is sacred. So the root, third, fifth and seventh, we can't call them anything else in the compound octave. So you can see here that E is the third. So we're going to get rid of this here, calling it a 10th. That it does get called that in older piano music, but for now what we're going to do is we're going to just cross that out there, because that third in the simple octave is sacred. So we're going to get rid of that for ease. Now the fifth, this G here, we're not going to call it a 12th. That's just too much shenanigans going on there. We don't want that. And like I said, this seventh has such a specific switching function, you know, and in bridging over, that we need to keep that sacred as well. So that B here, it's a 7 there. In the compound, it could be thought of as a 14th, but we're not going to call it that. So we just get rid of those there, okay? So essentially what we end up left with is we end up being left with the 9th, the 11th and the 13th. These 3 extra notes are called your extensions, okay? These are upper extensions, sometimes called upper extensions as well. So when you get those fancy schmancy chords, that have got 11s in them and all that sort of stuff, then what we've got is, that's where they come from. They come from the compound interval. And this is where we are going to get the ingredients for add chords. So look, we've got this D here is a second in the simple interval. So look at that. I'll put it up there. D. You can see that D is a second. But if we look in the compound octave, you can see it's also a 9th. And that's its enharmonic scale degree, if you want to think about it in that context. It's enharmonic. It means it's the same note, but we have to express it in a different way because it's in this compound octave. This F here, so these are my sussers. Right, so if I go up here and I go to my F, I can see that F there. Well, there it's a 4th, but in the compound it's an 11th. Okay, I'm going to do this with all the extensions. The 6th here, you can see if I go here, this A here, we've got an A here which is a 6. If I go there, we've got the 6th, and then what we're going to do is we're going to call that a 13th as well. Now this is a different case, because if we've got a 6th present with the triad, then it just becomes a 6th chord. Okay. Hope this all makes sense, guys, because it's like there's a lot of theory going on. Let me just have a minute with you. Does that make sense, guys? Is everybody okay so far? Okay, because it's not for the light-hearted as this, yeah. But I think if I give you this overview of how everything works harmonically, then you will go, all right, okay, now I can figure out on the fly what an add chord is and what a sus chord is and how to modify the third, and it will carry on, and you start to think to yourself, all right, well, diminution works in a similar way, or augmentation works in a similar way. So hopefully that's what we're going on with there. So you just add 7. Carter says, so just add 7. The 7 has a bridging function. It's sacred. Okay. So because it's sacred. All right. Now here's the thing. Let's go back here. Right. Now what makes it stand out for me, really, all the information you need. Yeah. So if we've got this here, then what we can do, what we can do is, if we have the formulas for the chords, okay? Look, let's look at this. Let's look at this here. Let's build a chord first, yeah? Let's look at this. We're gonna go for a major triad, yeah? Because we've got this going on here. Let's do it. And we know that a major triad is a root, a third, and a fifth. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the letter names, yes, because we've got two rows of information, right? We've got 2 rows of information. We've got the letter names, and then we have the scale degree names, okay? So we have, those are just labels, guys. They're just labels. So if we look there, we can see that the root for the major is going to be a C. The third is going to be an E. And the fifth is going to be a G. Wonderful. Perfect. Now, well, let's look at this. Let's take it and let's, instead of it being a major chord, let's turn it into a sus2. The first thing that we're going to do. So the formula for that is root, second, and fifth. I've already drawn these out, but it's worth going over again. So we can see that the root is going to be a C, but the sus2 is going to be a D, and then the fifth is still going to be our G. So what we've done is we've substituted that E for that D there. Let's look at a sus4, okay? Root, fourth, and fifth. Now you can see a C is going to be our root. The fourth, well, let's have a look. That's there. That's the fourth, which is an F there. And then the G there is the fifth, okay? So we've got C, F, and G. Yeah, it is easier on piano because you can see both hands. But the thing is with piano is linear. Yeah, the guitar, we've got 6 strings, so it makes it a little bit trickier to sort this out. So hopefully that makes sense there, guys. Now, what's the difference between a suspension and an add chord? Well, look, here's the 2 add chords you're going to come across more often than not. You're going to get an add 9, okay? Now, an add 9 means that what we've got is we've got a triad. In this case, it's going to be the C, the E, and the G. Okay, we have the triad there. But what we're doing is, because we've still got the third, and this is the thing, guys, this is the critical bit, yes? If the third is present, it is still, yeah, I'll write that down. Third present, yeah, equals add chord. Yes, it becomes an add chord if the third is present. That's how it works, yeah, because the third hasn't been suspended. The third is still there. So what if we wanted to have that D there? Now you might get, and some people call this an add 2 chord, yeah, but I prefer to call it the add 9 because really it comes from the compound octave. So let's look at that. That D is a second, like this, like we had it here in its enharmonic form. The second and the 9th here, okay? So really, what we want to do is we want to put that 9 there, and it's added. It's added. And that is going to be the D that we would add to that there. So we've added that 9. Now, not to be confused with if I took that there and I had this formula, root, third, fifth, 7th 9, yeah, then what's happened here is this is where the function of the 7 comes in here, because now what we've done is with the add 9, the tertian movement is broken, the chain is broken. We go C, E, G, we don't play the B, and we jump to the D. We jump straight into the compound octave. We add from the compound octave. We don't bridge using this 7th. Because this 7th is present, we are just running the whole lot along, and this would be a major 9 chord. So you start to see, by understanding your suspensions, it also helps you to unlock your understanding of the add 9 and the major 9 as well. Okay? Does this make sense, guys? All right? Are we good? Are we golden? So this is what's going on, because that is doing its bridging function. So that 9 it's not added. It's part of the sequence of that tertian movement. It is unbroken. So let's have a look. So let's have a look at the chat here. Let's just keep up and just see what sense. So where are we? I have noticed Must rewind later. No, it's still, John, don't worry. It will make sense. But the thing is, yeah, I'm going to play the chords and I'm going to show you the patterns. Yeah, and that's the thing, really. It's just like, okay, just play the chords, play the patterns, and it'll make sense because we'll do some easy ways of doing this. Okay, so things I have noticed but never had the concepts to explain. Lovely, good. Well, that's what we want. That's what it's all about. We're all here to learn. Sounds right, but hard to put it all together in a total package. But I have memorized it. It's like a transmission. You know how a car works, but you don't know how it is. This is the engine. This is the engine of chords. This is how chords work. Okay, so really, it's I just saw something about somebody with long toes. Like, so let's have a look. So somebody says, need the 7th if you create 9th or 11th or 13th. Yes, they're no longer add chords. But if the 7th is missing, you are adding. Yes, you are adding from there. Yeah, from that compound octave. Although you could say that the 6th and the 13th is a bit of a... you kind of like, you've got to put it that little bit of a thing to the side and kind of say that stands on its own. Because personally, when I think of 6th chords... 6 chords are amazing because 6 chords can be an enharmonic. I'm going down a route there that I shouldn't go down because I don't want to confuse any matters. No, don't go there, Ricky. You should slide your paper over to the left so it's easy to see your instructions better with the comments. I'm watching on my Fire Stick. It's right smack bang in the middle there, Gary. It's right smack bang in the middle there. So why do you need 7? 9, 2, 11, 4. Yeah, 6 is 13. So we've got that. Hopefully, it's chord formulas. So the important thing is learn your chord formulas. Yes? That's why. That is why, guys. Why I thought about it. I already thought it out and included it. It's in the book. The chord formulas, they're in the book. They're all there. There's your ingredients for your chords. There's your ingredients for your scales. Mix them together. Job's a good one. You've got it. Okay? Okay, so that's what it's all about. Right, so this is understanding how that works there. So we get that add sound. Now, add 9 isn't the only sound that we can do. And generally, when we end up with chords, and do you know something? The way I see guitar as well, I think about it in this context that from the cage system. I think about the cage system and how we can fit this into that idea and use it practically as guitarists. The cage system. The C chord is 5 strings. The A chord is 5 strings. The G chord is 6 strings. The E chord is 6 strings. But the D chord, it has 4 strings. So we need to be able to, in my mind, produce any chord using 4 strings. Yes, so we need to be able to produce any chord using 4 strings. Now, if you look at something like this, we've hit the limit, haven't we? So now when it comes to, if I was to put a major 11 in there, that would be 5 notes. If I put a major 13 in, that would be 7 notes. Yeah. So the thing is, we've got to be able to. Sorry, that was 5 notes. If it was a major 11, it would be 6 notes. How do we whittle that down to the D shape so that we can use it for caged, for guitar, and then it becomes practical information? Well, what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to understand that we can get rid of notes. We can cut notes out. And this is where understanding your intervals comes in. Yeah, so we know that the 5th, we've got to think about this, is that the 5th is transparent. It doesn't add any colour. So we can get rid of the 5th. We can get rid of the 4th, especially once we've bridged over. You see, this is why the simple octave is so sacred, is because that's where all the good stuff is happening. This is the colour end. This is more about colour. This is more about function. So when we want to add something here, and this is what I'm getting to here with this, guy. So if I go add 11, if I wanted to do an add 11 chord, yeah, basically it's still just a major triad there. And then what I'm doing is I'm going to an 11. there. I'm just putting the 11 in there. That's what all an 11 is. And you can see that that's going to be that F note there. Notice I don't have to include the 9th because the tertian bridge has been broken. Yes, because there's no 7th in there. Does this make sense? Hopefully this makes sense, guys. So that's been broken. So we can see how that works there. But notice how many notes I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. This fits into the idea of playing a D-shaped chord, yeah, on guitar. The major 9, look at this here. How would I handle this major 9 if I wanted to play a major 9 but using a D shape and I have 5 notes here? Well, what I said is that the 5th is transparent, so I could omit the 5th, use the root, the 3rd, I'd get the 7th and then the 9th. That 7th has to go there because it's doing that bridging function. If it doesn't bridge, if there's no bridge, yeah, then it becomes an add. So it becomes and then what you can do is, if there's no 7th there, then obviously you're reinstating the 5th. So what we've got to do is we've got to think about managing these notes in this way, okay? When they're full. So let's have a look. Where are we at? Let me just look at this. Let me just go scroll through the comments because this is heady stuff, okay? These chords are... Let's go down. Let's have a look. Let's see what we've got. Chord formulas. So use those chords and make you feel my love. Yes. So Phil says, so can add 9, 11 and 13 be taken from both higher and lower octave? Yes, we're very liberal with it, you know. You can't. The thing is, you see, if you place the 9th next to a root note, it has a certain tension, yeah, and whether it's in the compound or the simple octave, it's still going to have the same quality, create the same quality and personality. Now, obviously, if we were composing for strings and things like that, we'd have the luxury of using as many voices as we want, but we've only got 6 strings. And like I say, we're trying to whittle this down to 4 strings for D-shaped chords, specifically being able to play any chord. Yeah, this is a challenge. This is the challenge that you've got to think to yourself. Any chord, I should be able to play any chord using a D shape. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it's called. Yeah, fancy names or whatever. Yeah, sometimes stretchy and horrible to play, but that's what we're looking at, okay? So just looking at how that works there, then hopefully you start to understand when you look then at your chords as you're playing them on the guitar, you'll see things in a different light because these rules here, the formulas are going to inform you of what you are playing, okay? This is what we're gonna see there. When they do, okay, we're up to speed. Yeah, omit the 5th. You won't miss it. Yes. So okay. Chord construction, get it, but how do I apply it playing guitar? Are there any rules? There are rules, and this is the thing. So what we'll do is we will go through these. But like I say, what I was going to say was we can apply this now. This is the ultimate. This is the ultimate lesson, really, on suspensions and add chords and on all this sort of stuff. So really, once you get your head around how this works, and I like that idea of it being like an engine. You know, so really what we need to do is get us head around it. But the thing is, you can contain it all within the circle of thirds and see whether it's a suspension or not. Okay, so the thing to look at with this as well is if we look at the chords here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the triad here. So if I go here, C, E, and G. That's my triad for that chord 1. Remember, this is a synonym. I'm thinking chord 1, it's the same as Ionian. Yeah, and this is the same idea expressed as its basic triad. Okay, and then what I can do is I can look at the Dorian. That's going to be D, F, and A, and you're probably squinting sideways like I am actually right now. Let me turn it around like that. It'll probably be easier for this for this like this. So we can see C, D, E is going to be my next one. E, You can see it goes over, it goes E, G, B. Or I can just follow it around on my circle of thirds, which is just here, or outside, E, G, B. Okay, so E, G, B, every good band there. Now, Lydian's going to be F, A, C, fans and cash. Mixolydian's going to be good band, deserves. Aeolian's going to be and cash. Every Locrian's going to be band, deserves, fans there. So you can see there, we're looking at those triads there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, by looking at the modal formula, what kind of second, what kind of fourth we get. Okay? What kind of second, what kind of fourth we get with this. Now, very easy. Do you know what? I might even just... Is it there in the book? Let's use the book. Let's use the book. And we can see that... And I'll write on the book as well. And can I zoom in here? I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in here. Can I zoom in a bit more? Right, okay, we're there. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Right, so I'm going to get my pencil. And I'm going to look at this. Now, what I'll also do, and I would recommend this if you've got the book, guys, get your pencil. Get your pencil, right, and do this. Major, Ionian. We're going to think of that. Well, I'm thinking of that as also as being chord 1. You can put that at the side there. Let's look at what kind of second and what kind of fourth we've got. We've got a bog standard second and we've got a bog standard fourth, which would make sense because that's the main one that we have. Yeah, it's the main, that's the master formula for the key. Oh, chimp number 1, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. The natural minor or the Aeolian, well, that is chord, what we can think of as being chord 6. It's actually chord 1 in the minor, but we'll think of it as being this here because it's the formula that matters here. We've got a normal second, and what kind of fourth have we got? Oh, that's wonderful. So here you can see getting a sus4 and a sus2 on the major here on the Ionian. It's not going to be any different than getting it on the chord 6 there. I'm skipping over these because they aren't anything to do with it, but this is Dorian. This is chord 2. Okay, let's look at this. What kind of second, what kind of fourth has it got? Okay, second and fourth there. Wonderful, nice and easy. Just the same as these. So we can see that chord 1, chord 6 and chord 2, they all behave exactly the same way. Okay, Phrygian. Now, this is where it gets a little bit sticky, right? Because what happens is we don't have these natural notes here. So we don't want to call it a suspended flat 2 or anything else like that, like Phrygian. Let's look at Phrygian. We can see there that we get this flat 2 here or the 4 there. Now, whether this is correct or not, it makes sense to me to call this. If I was using the sus4, that would work. The Phrygian can have a sus4, but when it comes to it having a sus2 for its modal, for its formula, we would have root, flat second, fifth. Now that isn't gonna work. Yeah. So what we could do is we could call it, and I would call it the Phrygian suspended chord. That's what I would call it. I would attach the name of the mode to it. Okay. Okay. So we've got that. Let's have a look. What's going on? What's going on? Are we all right in the chat, guys? Okay. Tetrachords erase. Yeah. Okay. So, Ricky, you might need a keyboard for demonstration purposes. Mrs. Ricky play piano. No. I'm going to get on the guitar in a minute. But look. So the thing is. So we've got this here. So hopefully you can see that. So that becomes a problem. So I call that the Phrygian suspended. Let's look at the next chord. So we've got chord 1, chord 2, chord 3. Next one, Lydian is the synonym for chord 4. That's the mode that is attached. That is the mode that is. Hey, it's Ron. Dr. Ron is in the chat as well. Let's look at this. And here's what you can see. Is if I look at the second there. and I look at the fourth, well, you can see that the fourth is a sharp 4 now on this Lydian, which is a problem again. So what ends up happening with this is we can have a sus2 on a Lydian, but when it comes to putting the suspending the third in favour of the fourth, because it isn't a natural fourth, or a perfect fourth, it's this altered fourth. What I would do is I would call that a Lydian suspended chord. That's what I would think of it. So if somebody said Lydian suspended, I would think it's I would be thinking of it as having the sharp 4 there. Okay. So now let's look at this chord 5, Mixolydian. Let's look at this Mixolydian. Now this is nice and simple because we can see the second and the fourth are absolutely perfect, pristine. Locrian, no, you can go away. Yes, but you know, so the thing is, there's something happens here with Locrian. You know, you can see here that Locrian gets even more complex because it's got the flat second and it's got a fourth on it. But the thing is, because it's diminished and half diminished, it's then you're gonna have all these problems with it, and it becomes something completely different. So we don't want to really get into that one too much. But guys, like I'm saying, get your pencil out next to these if you want to write these down, yeah, with the chords of your key, and then you can start to see, right, in chord 1. So let's transfer that information now. Let me just zoom out. Let me just zoom out here, guys. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to think to myself, okay, so the information I have is, it's a little bit further away there. Chord 1, I can have a sus2 and I can have a sus4. So let me just put that under there. Sus2, sus4. Chord 2, let's have a look. A sus2, sus4. Good. We're brilliant. We're okay. Sus2, sus4. Right, let's have a look at Phrygian. Right, what problems do we have with the Phrygian? Well, we have the, I'm going to call it PH sus. Yeah, I'm going to call it PH sus, and then I'm going to have sus4. Right, so it's going to help you from making those pulling in notes that are outside. Yeah, that don't belong. So call it Phrygian sus. This one here, Lydian. Let's look at that. So we can get a sus2 there. But we can't have a sus4 because of that sharp 4. So what I'm going to call it is I'm going to call it Lydian sus. Lydian suspension. Lydian sus chord. Then we get to the G, which is the Mixolydian. Second and fourth is fine. Right, okay, so we can have both varieties there. Sus2 and sus4 on that. Then when we go to the Aeolian, remember, that's the same thing. Sus2, sus4, and and then chord 7, we don't need to bother with that one. Okay, so the thing is, now what you can do is you can see, let me just zoom in there. Yeah, let me just zoom in and show you. You can see that on chord 1 you can have a sus2 and a sus4. Chord 2, you can have a sus2 and a sus4. On chord 3, if you have that sus2, if you want the sus2 thing, it's going to have to be Phrygian and it's going to have to be a flattened second, and it doesn't really sound great at all. At all. Okay? Not at all. Right? But if you are playing chords and you want to do some voice leading and you need to know the correct note, then that's the modification that you need to make to make that voice leading smooth and in key. Yeah, so same here with the Lydian. You can have a sus2 in that one, and then in the sus, the chord 5 chord, that's a sus2, and then we get a sus4 there, A minor, sus2, sus4. So really, this is the problem zone. Chords 3 and 4, well, and chord 7. Chord 7, wobbly bob, always always a problem. Now, I think really an interesting way of demonstrating this, yeah, and I'm going to get the guitar now, okay? The guitar. Let me just get the guitar. What we do is, if we take a D chord, and I'm just going to show you how we apply this knowledge, yeah? It's very, it's very dry. I didn't realise I was going to go so in depth, but here we are. Yeah, right. and it's good for you. It's like, you know, vegetables. So there's the D. We're going to think of this as chord 1. Yeah? Now here, when I move this up here, this is D, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4. Right? Okay? D. We've got a G here. And then we've got an A here. So this is chord 1, chord 4, chord 5. Now these D shapes, that's a sus2. This is sus4. Yeah, so this the guitar is tuned in E flat as well, guys. So this is D, D sus4, D, D sus2. Now what if I want to put, because of the convenience of the shape, yes? If I put this here and I just plonk a sus4 on this chord, it's going to be wrong. Because this is chord 4. What do we know about chord 4, guys? Yeah, what do we know about chord 4? Let me just mooch over here. Look at chord 4. Chord 4 is Lydian, and we know that we've got a sharp 4 on it. So what I have to do is it gives me the knowledge to be able to think to myself, I can't play that. Yeah, I have to raise the 4th to get a sharp 4. Now if I play that on its own, it sounds odd. Until I go to chord 5, which has got a regular sus4 on it. Hopefully this makes sense here. So chord 1, chord 4, turn it into a sus4. So now I'm thinking of this as being a Lydian suspended chord, not a sus4. So hopefully that makes sense. Really, I should have another G in the bass. In the bass there. I could have that. If I have the 3rd, then something else is happening. But look, there's the triad in those 3 strings there. We've got the 5th, the root, the 3rd. That's the 3rd. That's where the sus4 should be. But that's where the sharp 4 lives. And then the thing is, if I don't do that, you'll hear it. It just sounds a little bit off. I'll just play them all as just suspended 4th chords. Can you hear it sounds off? Whereas this is in. That sounds in. That's in key. Whereas that isn't in key. Okay? But this is the thing. So hopefully this kind of explains what's going on with this business here. Right. So now we've got through the theory of that. Hopefully that makes sense. What we can do, let's apply it to we've got the D minor here. E minor. Okay. It's going to be it's in this key of C major. If this is chord 3, then we're gonna struggle to get this one here. So I always think, I really like the sound of the Lydian. It's one of my favourite sounds because it's the brightest of all the modes. If you think of modes, they have a colour to them. Yeah, they have a brightness and a darkness. So Lydian is the brightest of all modes. And years ago, actually, Lydian was the tonality that most music was in. Yeah, so I think that's fascinating, and the major kind of came and knocked it off the throne. So you know, major tonality, Ionian tonality, and before Lydian it was Dorian. so the thing is, we've got that one going on there, and that's the way that I kind of think about it. Now, so where's this going to apply? Look, if I play this E chord here, and I put this as a sus4. Yeah, I can do the same thing here. Now, what I like to do with this, and it's almost like those, I can play this little shape here. I'm playing the root, the 3rd. I'm just playing with that. It's the most basic of of ornamentations for chords. Now, if I wanted to play this in E, we think about it, just count on your fingers. You go E, F, G, A is going to be chord 4. So if I know it's chord 4, I'm going to have a sharp 4. That means I'm going to get that Lydian suspension on it. And then chord 5 is just going to be a regular sus. Yeah, so look at this. So here's chord 1. Chord 4 is going to be here. Look. Now you might think to yourself, oh look, it lives there because the 3rd is there. Because you think to yourself, oh well, the rule is it's a suspension. Yeah, so basically what you do is you raise the 3rd up to the 4th, yeah? But not on chord 4. We have to adjust. Now the beauty is it gives us that sound. I love that sound. That sound is... Yeah, and then there's the B. Back to the regular suspension there. So I can put that there. So, Ricky, what's tonality? Tonality is the framework that you build from a tonal center. Yeah. So, Lydian is essentially, which is what I'm talking about right now. Lydian is essentially a major scale, but what we do is, there's your major scale. It goes do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Yeah. But what we can do is we can change the whole tonality. If you want to think of the tonality as being the personality of the scale, the mood of the music, yes. Then what I do is I raise that 4th and it changes the whole sound completely. Yeah, so can you hear there's more tension in that? It sounds... So that sounds different than... I think the major scale sounds very, happy birthday. It's just very, very, straight. It's stable. Whereas that... And the reason it's not stable is because we have these tritones available just here. Yes, these known as the devil's interval for some reason that nobody can agree on. Yeah, so, but, so, yeah, but they have their own personality. There's lots of different ways of describing things. Tonality is a label, so that's the way I think of the tonality. Okay, so, are we okay so far, guys? Right, so what we need to do, I think we should drop the word theory, use the word journey. Music journey sounds less daunting. I like that, Iggy. I do like that because it is the journey. You know what? There is no destination, because I think if you think you've reached the destination, there is always something else to learn. I'm not done. I'll never finish this. Saying that you've finished, that you've mastered guitar, I think it's preposterous, because it's like saying, oh yeah, I read the last page of the internet yesterday. It's like, how many pages get created every day? It's like that, yeah. So that talks about memorizing scale formulas. There is indeed. I talked about how to understand your scale formulas. It's on the channel. Sounds like start introducing Spock. Crikey, taking me back a bit there. So, right, now that we have, hopefully, a good grasp of the underlying structures within this, when I come to doing this business here, all right, I'm going to write some shapes out now, guys. I'm going to draw some shapes out, and I'm going to play them as well. So let me put this here, all right? Like I say, PDF Club. All these PDFs will be available in PDF Club. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go through this systematically using the cage system. And this is going to be your C shapes, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a C. These are C shapes. Now, the C shape is pesky because, right? So So we've done the theory. We've done the theory. Yeah, we've done the theory aspect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at that bog standard chord there. Let me just boom, zoom in there, right? So we're going to look at this one here. Now, you might not realise it. I'm playing 5 strings here, but some of these notes are repeated. This is a C. This is an E. This open G string, yeah, is a G. And this first finger is a C, and the thin string is an E. So you can see we've got 2 C's and 2 E's. Now this is root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that down here on this. Okay, so look, root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd. Now, one thing we know, and this is the major, bog standard major triad. That's root, 3rd, 5th. Then what we're going to do is we need to work out our first. Let's go for the basic ones, and we know we're going to go for. Let's go for a sus2 chord. Okay. Now to get the sus2, we know we have to go root, 2nd, and 5th. That's the formula for it. So what I have to do is I have to suspend these thirds. Now, suspending an open string, the way we do that is we just don't play it. Okay, so we just get rid of it. It's the simplest way to do that there, yeah, is to not play it there. Now, what we can, and this is why we end up with two different shapes here, common shapes, I would say. If you think about it, we've got a 3rd here and we have a 3rd here. But what we can also do is we can think of it a root, and a 2nd could be here. So really what I can do is I can put the 2nd here. This is one of my favourite ways of playing it. Root, and then what I do is I kill that there, and then I have the 5th here. The root, the 5th, and the 2nd there like this. And then that gives us this C sus2 like this. So there we go. That's as simple as it is. So if you struggle to play a C like this is a C sus2. Yeah, that's the 2 there. And it sounds lovely. So we've got that one there. Now what I could do is I could, even if I wanted to, and I could do a mix of both of these. If I've got the root here, I could have the 2nd here as well. Because look, there's the 3rd. Oh, hang on. Wrong screen. There we go. So there's the 3rd. If we lower it back to the open string, we get to the 2nd. So we can have that there. I can have that root there. I can even have that 5th there. But I'm going to kill that one. I'm going to kill that one. I can't do anything with that 3rd there because it's on the head note. It's behind the head note. So I could play this sus2 like this. Now I'm playing the D string open on that. So it's the A string, D string, G string, B string. Now the cool thing is, I want you to hear this, guys. This is what I was saying right at the beginning about the re-establishing the 3rd for the resolution. Yeah, the suspension it's a hanging sound. Yeah, so when I put that 3rd back on, can you hear it? It sounds like the chord is complete. Now if you take that and you use that as an idea, and I can even add that other sus2 up there. But now I'm knowing, because I know where my 3rds are. It always reminds me of that thing. Do you know where your kids are? And I think to myself, do you know where your 3rds are? Yeah, do you know where your 3rds are? If you know where your 3rds are, then you know how to find your suspensions. If you know where all those notes are, then you're golden, right? So back to this here. So we've got. Yeah. Yeah, now it sounds like it wants to go somewhere, but this, you can hear it hanging, complete on the full C. There's a lot you can do that with that, and I would say that the beauty of this is you've got a song, and it's like, say it's 4 bars of C. I could even put that on there, but that's a 5th, and it's transparent. It's not really adding to it. Let me add to that, show you what I'm doing there. It's just all the pinky movement here. But what you're doing is you're kind of zhuzhing it up. You're fancifying your basic C grip, and you're making it interesting by using these suspensions. And this is why I think of them as that first modification that you want to make. Now, right, let me just jump back over onto here. Now, if we keep that 3rd, look at this. So if we keep that 3rd, imagine we're keeping it there, right? We've got a root here. We're going to keep the 3rd, but we want to have an add 9. And this is the difference, remember? Root, 3rd, 5th, and then we've got the 9 there. That's the formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that there. And remember, I had this root note here, but I also could have a 2nd here. I'm going to put that 2nd there, but the 2nd is transformed because we've bridged, we've gone over from the simple octave into the compound octave, and then that transforms then into a 9 there, guys. So then we end up with the 9 there. The 5th is here. Yeah. So that ends up being the chord. In fact, actually, probably the most common way of playing it is putting the 5th there. That's a horrible looking one there. God love the old Tipex tape. Let me just make that a little bit prettier, because I can't live with that. There, is that better? Marginally. I should let it just fix itself down there. But let me just play you the chord. Let me play you the chord. So the thing is, there's the C sus2. There's the C sus2. By adding the 3rd back in, it becomes a C add 9. Let me add that 5th in there. I can add that in there on my sus2 if I wanted to. Transfers lovely if you want to go from a C to a G. Look at this. Okay, do you see what's going on there? But the thing is, I'm doing it intelligently. I know exactly where everything is. Revving that chord up. Vamping with one finger. That's what I call vamping. It's putting air into the chord, the sound of the chord. So there is the C add 9. Okay, now look at this. This. If I take that there, okay, what I can do is that the next one that I really want to get to is going to be the sus4. So we'll go for the sus4 here. Sus4. And we're going to have a root, we're going to have a 4th, we're going to have a 5th. Let's put that there. Root, 3rd. In fact, actually, let me just draw in the chord there. There's a couple of ways to play this. And because I know where my 3rds are, then all I need to know is my 4th is going to be either there or it's going to be there. So I can play this note, this note, this note, this note, this note. Let me show you what that looks like. So I play this here, right on that cut that I have there on my finger. So there's my C. I put the sus4 on there. Now that is a sus4 as long as I don't play the thin E string, because that's a 3rd. If I play the thin E string, then that 4 changes its role. It becomes an add 11. Look, listen. So just on the inside 4 strings, sus4, as soon as I fire through, onto that open E. I change it all completely. Now I'm playing a C major triad with an added 11 here instead. And this is why 4 and 11 are the same thing here, guys. This is a 4 and it's an 11, okay? So, but I like this way of playing it because I'm playing the C, the F, the G, the C, and the F here. Those notes there. Look how easy it is to put on a cheat F. Yeah? That takes me down to sus2 there. Yeah? So there's an F, albeit in inversion with the 5th in the bass there. That would be the full F. But you can't do this with that, with a bar. So you have to do it like this with the cheat way, or you can get your thumb over the top. Yeah? We take that off there. And then we start to see that sus2s and sus4s actually become enharmonic with each other as well. So they're great from blending from one chord to the next. So if I take this C here. So I'm just playing between C and F there. And you just think to yourself, moving from C to F, that it's just a fairly bog standard change, but you can make it pretty. When you move from one chord to the next, if you can add some interest, then it's just going to make you sound a lot more pro. Yeah, and that's what we're looking at here, guys. So going back to the dianogram, we can do that there. And I think probably the easiest way to play the sus4, and the reason we have two versions is because we've got 2/3 here. So we've got root, we've got the 4th there, and then what we're going to do is we are going to play the root here, and we can kill that string there, and we can have a 5th here as well. So that's another way to get your head around it. You can merge these two together as well. Another one that like I said, like I was just saying to you, is if I've got the root there, if I had the 3rd there, I'm going to put the 3rd back in there. I'm going to reinstate that 3rd. Root there. 5th is here. But what I've got is, you can see I've got my triad there. Yeah. And I haven't got my 7th, so I'm adding to this. So if I put that 4 in, remember, 2, 9, 4, 11. They're the same thing. So the 4, this becomes my 11 here. So I can add this. So this becomes add 11. And when I'm looking at it, that's what I'm thinking when I'm seeing that chord. Yeah, I'm thinking there. Let me, oh, hang on, that's the wrong one. This one here. Yeah. Can you hear how that open E string changes the sound of everything? But I'm holding down, it's essentially an E minor shape there, and then my first finger on the 1st fret of that B string there. Are we all still here? Am I still online? Yeah, I'm still on. Right, okay. It's just everybody's a bit quiet. So we've got that going on there, right? And this just takes care of your C shapes. I'm sure there's another add 11 I can pick out of this. I can muster out of it. Yeah, I could probably. I could probably play it like this. There's my standard C chord. There's my 3rd. There's going to be my 4th, which is now an 11th. So if I just bar across it. And it's right on that cut. Oh, look, I'm going to show you. Look, it's horrible. Anyhow, there is another way. There's another way to play that. There's another way to play this. Sean, it's all about the shapes, mate. But the thing is, it's like once you start to see them, you're just tying them in. There is nothing in the diagram that doesn't exist in the formula. Yes? The formula is there. Root, 3rd, 5th, and 11th. That's the formula. It's just, we've just adding that 11th to it. Okay? There is no add 11 in the lesson book. No, there isn't. Well, that's the whole thing with this. That's the thing with this. It's the expansion of the lesson within the book. Yeah, the lessons in the book, some of them are only like 8 minutes long. This is turning into a proper mammoth one, isn't it? Are we all right? Yeah, we're all right. Okay, so look, so these are the C shapes. Let me fire through some of the others. The C shapes and the G shapes are the worst to get through because they have 2/3. The C shape and the G shape have 2/3. The E, A, and D shapes don't, which brings me to the A shapes. Right, now let's look at the A shapes. This is, like I said, this is caged. These are the A shapes from caged, and we have the good old 5R3. Okay, so we've got a root there, and then we've got a fifth there. That is the way it works. Very, very simple, because what we do is we look for the third. Oh, there it is. And then what we could do is we go, all right, okay, let's play this as a sus2. And that gives us a root, a second, and a fifth. So we're going to take that fifth, take that to root there, and then take that third and drop it down to this open string here. And then we can have another fifth there as well. So this is the sus2 chord. And this is very simple, and there's not much to write about with this one. It's that. Here's the major. Yeah, and just to show you that this is going to work as a minor. So there is A minor, A sus2, A sus4. Yeah, that riff utilizes that idea there. So we got that there. But look, major, sus2, sus4, okay, so we can use that there, and it becomes easy. Now, so we can put that there. Sus4, dead easy. We've got a root, we've got a fourth, and we've got a fifth. And then what we do is go fifth, root, and we put the 4 just there. Okay, we're just moving it up. Okay. So that lives there. Now I could do, look, let's talk about it. And I just show you because it's a good demonstration of how this works. Remember me talking about that Lydian suspension? All right, I'm just going to call it Lydian sus because really the formula for that is root, sharp 4, 5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have fifth, root, and I put my sharp 4 here. Yeah, I've got my root there. It's an easier shape to play. I'm not going to play that note there, but here's how that sounds. And it's going to sound off. Listen. Fifth, root, sharp 4. But I can go to a sus2 on it as well. And the cool thing about that sharp 4 is that it's the third of chord 5. Okay, so that's a good way of looking at that one. But the suspension works with all of those there. Now, let's just quickly let's look at a major with an add 9. Okay. Oop. So if we've got that A shape there, what we want to do is we want to think, well, where's my 9 going to be? There's my root. That would be where my second is. Remember, 2 and 9 are enharmonic, 4 and 11 are enharmonic. So look, add the 9. I've got to put this on here. So I'm going to go fifth. I'm going to go put my third there. I'm going to put the 9 just here. I'm going to bar across here, have the root, and I have that there. All right, so that's the chord shape. Where's my pick gone? I've just put my pick somewhere. Where have I put it? I put it somewhere. I've got another one just here. Oh, they're horrible ones, these. Let's have a look. I put it somewhere. Right, so let me just show you this chord. So look, there's your A. And now what I do is I take the root and turn it into a 9. Yeah, we know that one. We should do. Yeah. Let's have a look. Where's my pick gone? My favourite pick. My last one as well. It's always the last one, isn't it? Right, okay. Well, I'll have to do with one of those. Yeah, so. But there you go. So that is with the add 9. Now we can also, let me just show you, because I'll write it on the sheet as well. If we put it on the sheet, we can have a minor with an add 9. Right, and we add that there, then what ends up happening, we have got the flat third here, we've got the fifth here, we've got the 9 here, we've got the root here. And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for all those notes there. Every breath. Yes, I was wondering if someone was going to pick up on this one. Now, this is going to be a bit tricky because it's right on the... there's the A minor. So I've got fifth, root, flat 3. Take the root, move it up to the 9 there. Yeah, so it's going to be this shape. I'm not putting the third finger on there, by the way. It has to hover. But the string's just slotting into the cut on my index finger. Lovely. Yeah, so there's the A minor add 9, yeah. It just adds that extra sound to it there. So we'll put that there. Let's scoop through. Ooh, do we add anything else? No, we don't. We'll scoot on through the G shape. Let's move on. Let's move on. In PDF Club, I'll do a big, massive write up of these. I'm just aware of time, guys. So the thing is, but I'll also do some blank sheets for PDF Club of this as well, so that you can write these out and work them out yourself. It's always going to be a good way to do it. So now what we get is we get the G shapes. Right, and I'm not going to go through all of the G shapes. They will be available in PDF Club, but you know, because it will take forever for me to systematically go through everything. Root, third, fifth, root, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the what I call the Dylan G, which is the 3-fingered version there. So there's the G shape. Now what we can do is we can think to ourselves, that's major. And the formula for that is root, third, fifth. So what if we want a G sus 2? So let's go for a sus 2 chord. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to look at what's available to us to be able to move around. And I think the easiest way to make a G sus 2 is to take this root here. See the third there? We drop it down. We drop that down there. Right? And that means we end up with the fifth, the root, and the third. We're going to suspend that. So what we do is we suspend it by putting the fifth on there, and then we have the root there. So this is the shape that you end up with. So we got this, guys. It looks like a G, but the thing is, that open A is a bit muddy. Okay. So what I like to do is I'll just put that A and take it up an octave. So look, here's that chord again. Yeah, and let me just show you. I will use the same. I'll do it on a different diagram here. Sus 2 again. So we're going to get root. I'll kill this one here. No A string, but I'm going to keep the fifth. I've already got a root, so I don't need to double up on it, but I will put the 2 here. And then I'll keep that 5th, and I keep the root there. So you end up with this shape, and this is the same one. Let me move over to guitar. Now you can hear it sounds bright. Listen to how that works. Back to a normal G there. Now if I want a sus4, what I do is I like to push this up here. There's the 3rd. Exchange it for that. This shape, why I like this shape, is because it leaves you with just 1/3. This shape leaves you with 2/3. You've got a 3rd there on the 2nd fret of the A string, and you've got a 3rd as the open B string, which means it becomes harder to muck around with these suspensions and add chords and all that sort of other good stuff. Because if I take that off there, the 3rd's still present. So the way we tame it is by using this, I call it the Oasis G, this one here. Hopefully you can hear that. Now, I know that it does sound a bit muddy in the bottom end there. Now we can play it in a different way, and some people, if you've ever seen people who play the G like this, okay. Now the fingering of this is really particular, because this is the way it works. So we've gonna have, so this is going to be for a G sus4, all right. So we're going to have a G. We're gonna take that note there. We're going to mute that string there. I'm going to have the 4 just there. I'm going to have the root here as well. So we've got the root, and I've got the 5th here. So this is going to be a sus4. So it's a G sus4. Yeah. There's your G. Now if I add that 3rd in, it's not a sus4 anymore. It's become an add 11. Look, so you look, add 11. So we've got root, 3rd is present, 5th, root. Now that 4 becomes an 11. Yeah, and we can put that root in there. So you can see how that works there. It's great chord, isn't it? Because it's so close. Because it's so close to the C. Look at this. If I move that shape down, I get a C chord with an extra 5th in the upper voice here on the thin E string. Yeah. Okay. Just take that off. Or if I mute that over there, yeah, I'm muting the A string to get rid of the 3rd. So this is what you've got to do, because once you know where these notes are that you know move you away from your understanding of what the chord is. This is the Oasis G chord. This is the one that I call the Oasis G chord there, and it's just got these 2 fingers here, because what we've got is we've got a root here, we've got a 5th here, yeah, and then we've got the root here, and then we've got the 3rd here, and we've got a 5th, and then we've got a root again. So there's only 1/3 present, whereas this one there's 2/3, yeah, which makes it harder to manage. And also, I think, you know, if you listen to this, there's a clash in between the chord there, because going from the open B to this note here, we get a minor 6th, okay? And I think it sounds a bit twee, whereas this, got a ringing 4th there, perfect 4th. Okay? Just sounds more rounded because there's only 1/3. But like I say, so you can see that all the action's happening on the A string. all going on there. Right. So hopefully that makes sense there, guys. There's more we can do with the G chord, but we don't want to get into that because we just want to get firing through these. So let's look at the next shape. I'm going through these 5 chords, whether it kills you or not. Or me. Yeah, whichever comes first. E shapes. Right, now E shapes, thankfully, we've got 1/3. We've got the 5th. We've got the root. We've got the 3rd there, okay? So root, and then we've got the, my brain's gone, 5th, root, there we go. So there we go, we've got the major chord there, root, 3rd and 5th. Now to get the sus2, now this is one that was, I thought was a tricky sucker, yes? Okay, this was a tricky one, but I thought to myself, actually, no, it isn't as hard as you think, yeah? Let's have a go. And I just thought, well, I've got a root there and I've got a 2nd there. So if I put this here, I'm going to put my 2nd there. But what I do is I kill off the G string. I have the 5th here, but I keep the 5th and the root on here, and I have the root here. So this is the shape that I end up playing. Let me just show you what this sounds. I love this shape. I love the sound of this chord. So, and what I'm doing is my 3rd finger is rolled over and it's muting out the G string. So it looks like I'm playing an E minor. Yeah. And remember, it's because it doesn't matter because suspensions work with major or minor chords. Yeah. There's the E major. There's the sus2. Now, here's the sus4. It's the old pinball wizard one. Is this? This is one of the first ones I think I ever learned. And we put the 4. Hang on, let me just switch over there. The sus4. Dead easy. Put it there. Got a root there. Worth looking at is this one as well. And I just basically, what I do is I just put that pinky on. Yeah, there's the shape. And put the pinky on. It looks like an A shape, essentially. Now, if you had the 3rd in and you put that, then that becomes an add 9, doesn't it? Listen, because you know this now, because the thing is, look, there's the 5th, there's the root, there's the 3rd, there's another 5th, and there we are adding a 9. So this is going to be an E add 9, right? You can have a 9 there. Now, I think that one's, it's nice, but there is another way that we can do this. We don't have to put it in there. We can retain that root note there. And what we do is we take that root note there and we move it up a whole step here. Have I got enough space on this? So we've got the 3rd there. And then what we do is we put the 9 here. It's a stretchy one, but it's worth it because it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so this is an add 9. And we're going to put this here. So hopefully you, oh no, hang on. I wasn't showing you that. There you go. So what I've done is I've taken that root, yeah, I've taken that run there, and then what I've done is I've gone up a whole step there. Hopefully that makes sense. Root, there's the 9th. So instead of using this one here, I'm using this one here. So now I've got it in a lower place on the neck. Let me put it on here. Now you can see there's my E major chord. There's the root. Move it up to the 9. So look. Hang on. This is hurting, by the way. Yeah. I think it's why won't you stay with me for a little while? Coverdale Page. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's a Jimmy Page thing. So that 3rd finger isn't doing anything there, guys. So I'm holding that down there. It's a stretchy one, okay? Yep, so there's the E, add 9. Now, like I say here is what we've got with that add 9, this is really, it's major, yeah? Because we've got that major third there. This one's major as well. We can have a minor, and I've got to show you this one because minor add 9, yeah, because it's beautiful. This is the, if you're bored with your E minor, yeah, and you want to make it pretty, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to make it pretty. So what we do is we play the 5th here, and then what we do is we add the 9 here. I love this shape, this chord, and it's easy. It looks like a power chord on the A and the D string there at the 2nd fret. Okay. Yeah, a bit Led Zeppelin, but I think it was Coverdale Page. Stay With Me for a Little While, I think. So look at that one. Very metal is this, you know. You know, so we can get into that kind of territory. So you can see how that way is going to just make it. I think personally, I think that just adds some extra, you know, emotion. I think the 9th is what I kind of call a nice tone to add. You're never gonna add it and it's gonna sound wrong. It's kind of like, I kind of think of it as the umami flavour of chords. Okay, does that make sense? It's the umami. It just puts the umami in the chords. So now we've only got one shape left, guys. D shapes. Well done for hanging on through this. The D shapes. Okay, yeah, it's a B power chord. You could think of it as a B power chord, but play the E, the G, the B, and the E string open. Okay, Ralph. Yes. Okay. So that's what we've got. We've got on this one. We're going to go root 5th, root 3rd. Okay. So that's what we've got. It is a little. That's what it was. Sanatorium. I was trying to think what it was. This is the major. Okay. Remember, it could be. This works on the minor as well. So let's go for the sus. Sus2, dead easy. We take that 3rd, drop it down a whole step, and we get the 2nd just there. There's the root, there's the 5th, and then here's the root again. So we've got that there. So there's the sus2. Nice. Very, very nice. Right? And there's nothing to say. You can't mix these chord shapes up. Look, here's a nice, easy way of doing it. There's the... Yeah. You can do it that way, but you can see it works with 2 different fingerings. Yes, copyright laws. Yeah, we do that. And go into an A sus2 there. Look, D sus2 to an A sus2. And then from an E sus4 to that E, and I'm not doing much. There's not much going on. And just to show you, and I like this is a great little exercise if you're a beginner. Getting that middle finger there, that finger to come off. And pulling off on it. Bit James Taylory. And that's all just using that thin E string. You can hear I'm putting those notes in there. Now let me do it on a minor. Yeah. can see I'm playing through these add A minor add 9. Yeah, E minor add 9. There. To a D minor. To a D sus 2 there. To a D sus 4. Yeah? That's as much as we're going to do there with that one. But D sus 4, let me go back here. Do we need a picking hand, Cam? Well, we're thinking about how to do that, actually. Root 4. There we go. So, look, I've got the diagram here. So, there is the sus 4. We can do more with this. It's a little bit... Can I get that on there? Will I have to add some more? I'll just have to add another fret to this. So look, if I wanted to have an add 9, not a common way of playing this. There's the 5th. There's the root. Remember, the root would be here, so the 9 is going to be 2 frets higher. So I'm going to play this like this. It's an interesting chord to play. This is going to hurt me. I know this is going to hurt because it's right on the Stairway to Kevin. Yeah. Look, so there's my D. There's my root. Move it up to get it into a second, but because it's an add note, it switches to be a 9. And it's the same voicing, you can hear it. As this one. Yeah? But and I'm just thinking D there. Look, there's lots of... That's an A, so that's the 5th of the chord. There's the 9, and there's the triad. Yeah? Stairway to Kevin. I like that one. So hopefully, yeah, we've got some others. Like we can, you know, flesh these out. And like I say, what you do is you get some paper and you go through this lesson and you write them all out. And a wizard. I'm not sure if a wizard played that famous intro. Guess who? Go and do a bit of message in a bottle. No, I'm not going to have Andy having a pop at me for nicking his tunes. So here we go. Right. So what we've done so far, guys. Hopefully this makes sense. We're ticking all that business. We've got G, E, A, C, A, G, E. Where's that other D sheet? There's a sheet with the D shapes here. So there's there. So 5 sheets with the cage chords that I've gone over. 2 sheets with the theory aspects of it and how that works and how these tie in. What suspensions you can have on which chord within the key. And how to make it into a 9th. Okay. Very complex, complicated lesson today. I did think to myself, I thought to myself, do you know what, Ricky? Just keep it straightforward. Just show them the shapes. But then inside I can hear myself saying, they're going to ask why. They're going to ask why. So that's it. On a freight train to oblivion. I think these might be song references that I'm not aware of. Guys, we're at 2 hours. We've been live for 2 hours. Crikey, that's some going. Like I say, this is basically, that's what that's what this is all about, guys. These Wednesday guitar classes, this is all lessons from the book and sometimes PDF Club. I like to put a bit, mix it up a bit and put something in there. But this is page 67, lesson 61 in the book. This is the book, 80 lessons in it. If you haven't got the book and you want to get the book, then get the book here. If you get it there, you'll find that you can get it from Amazon as a paperback. You can get it from Lulu as a spiral bound. Or if you go there, you can go on the website and you can get a digital version of it, an ebook version of it. And all the videos are in the Fretboard Fraternity. As Phil would say, what's the Fretboard Fraternity? The Fretboard Fraternity is a free community, guys, for you to just come. No ads, no politics, just guitar. Yeah, just good learning fun. Yeah, just a place to hang out, you know, online that's just like a breath of fresh air, to be honest, I think. But if you want all the any of the stuff for this, these PDF for the PDF for this, then that's exclusively for people in PDF Club, I'm afraid. But if you message me or Kerry, email Kerry, because Mrs. Ricky, she's not here. She's not here. It was lesson 61, page 67 in the book, Sean. Yeah. Yeah. So if you would like a code, a discount code, yeah, for checkout, then just send me an email or whatever, and I'll send you a code. Yeah, it's cool. We're cool with that. So hopefully that makes sense for tuning in. That's the whole thing, you know, because you tuned in and you spent your evening with me, going over the finer details of chord theory. Really, really, what you need to do, guys, is get your head around this stuff, because once you start to understand this inner structure of the chords, then the thing is, you'll look at a chord and you'll know which mode you can play over it. Yeah, and you know that modes are moods. Yeah, so you'll know what that can be. Oh, thanks, Jason. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm glad it made sense. You come back to it again. Yeah, you come back to it again. Yes. So that's what I'm saying is you have to come back to these lessons again, because it's a lot to take in. You know, how do you eat an elephant? You know, it's in small bite-sized chunks. That's how you eat an elephant. So that's what we've got to do, guys. So yes, I will be online. I'll be popping on Saturday sometime. I'm gonna try and make it as I'm aiming to make it as USA friendly as possible, because I know a lot of you guys are from USA, Canada. You know, you're all on that same sort of time zone, I think. I'm sorry for my Aussies. But Iggy Whiskers, chord journey. I like it. No, Mrs. Ricky. She's had to go pick up. There they are. They're just back now. She just had to pick the young one up from Girl Scouts. So there we go. So that's where we're at. So, are we okay? Come back to this one again and again. It's here for you to just dig into and watch again. Get a pen, some paper, take notes, draw diagrams. You can even do clips. If you do clips in YouTube, you can create clips that are just specific to what you want to focus on as well within there. Have a go at that. Have a go at making clips. I can see which clips you've done as well, and that's good, because then if somebody asks a question, then I know that, you know, it's something that you're interested in, and then I can think about it and then frame it in the correct manner. Okay, guys. So that was a good session. That was a heavy one. So like I say, thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with me. Or if you're in Australia, you're probably in the future. Are you in the future? You are. Yeah. So there's 5 time zones across Canada. I'm gonna have to think about this, but it'll be in a decent time. Yeah. So, and it's on a Saturday, so if you're not doing anything, then it's not gonna disrupt work. Hopefully, that's the thought behind doing it on a Saturday. So, So yeah, bang the like. Yes, wallop the like if you've enjoyed this, and it's giving you something to think about. If you've got some value from the lesson, give it a like. And if you could also, once the live session ends, if you could drop a comment or anything else, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments of the actual video as well, because that helps. We don't know about Indiana. I don't know the time for Indiana. So, okay. We're here. It's time to say goodbye, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And I will see you on Saturday. But in the meantime, go over this, write it out. Don't sleep on it. Just write some things down. Some of the salient points. Just some of the salient points that make sense to you, yeah, and then maybe even just play some of the shapes that I played. Even if you add just one shape to your arsenal of chords, yeah, then it's just something that you're going to use, and that's it. The main thing is that you get to use it. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, so yeah, so remember who you're playing guitar for every week. At the end of every session, tell you who you're playing guitar for. Playing for yourself. Keep going. Consistency is the key to it. You know, tap into playing the things that you love playing. The emotion, because that emotion creates momentum, and the momentum means you win. And like Iggy Whiskers says, it is a journey, guys. There is no destination. It's huge, his guitar, so don't feel like you're ever behind, because you're not. You aren't. You just gotta put the consistency in, put the hours in, and you'll get there eventually. Okay. So with that, I will say much love, take care, and I'll see you on Saturday. Take care. Bye bye.